Hi everyone, so I'm back with another one of my Friday ramblings, and this week I thought I'd share my experience of training both in person and training online and get us all really thinking about, is there really one perfect right way to train to be a yoga teacher? So I offer specialist training courses in pre and postnatal yoga and toddler and preschool yoga. And I also offer foundation yoga teacher training courses. And if you'd asked me the question back in, say, January, February 2020, Amy, can any of your courses be done successfully online? The answer would have been no. No, I don't believe that. No, it has to be in person for it to be successful. No, I'm not. I think I had a conversation with a friend once. No, I'm not putting my courses online. Anyway, COVID comes along, doesn't it? And I'm in the middle of running my 300-hour in-person foundation yoga teacher training course. And I was also due to run my 4-day specialist toddler and preschool yoga training course. And I have a choice. I could say, I'm sorry, my training offering is on pause until we can be back in person, or I could keep it all going and move it online. And I felt a huge commitment to everyone who had parted with their money, parted with their time to train with me. So I moved my trainings online, and I have to say it is probably one of the best decisions that I've ever made. So my specialist courses, my pre and postnatal one, which is 90 hours, and my toddler and preschool one, which is 40 hours, are now dedicated online courses. And there's even different ways of training online. You could take the traditional Zoom model, which recreates what would you get in a studio. You spend 4 days, 5 days with that teacher at a certain period of time, training together as a group on Zoom. I knew that my Zoom brain wouldn't take that. I've got a limited amount of time that I can manage on Zoom in one day before I start to lose it a bit. So I took that model, and then the other model, which is this self-paced training where you work through training videos with potentially not so much input from the teacher. Very flexible for those people looking for flexibility. But I knew that I wanted to have some connection with people that were training with me, give them some input, because I know how valuable that input from me and working as a group can be. So my specialist courses actually combine both. There's training videos that you work through at your own pace. There is the opportunity to observe me teach weekly, which is immensely valuable. And then we work in a group sometimes, and people also work one-to-one with me. This model I created, I'll be really honest, it was slightly accidental. It was just based on what I knew would work for me. And in turn, I've created online courses that really work for everyone. And I am so proud of them. But I also have to say, they've shaken me to my core a little bit in terms of my belief systems. Because when we want to say, well, in person is always better. No, online is always better. That's the wrong mindset. What matters is actually the outcomes. The person who has taken the course, are they ready to teach? Whatever it is they've trained in, whether it's yoga or not, are they ready to teach? And I have to be really honest, the outcomes from my online courses have blown me away, have shaken my belief systems. They are as good, and if not better, than when they were an in-person course. You know, people online have time to repeat videos, have time to go back and revisit information. You know, there's a lot of information that can come at you in a training environment. So that's the specialist courses. But I still, maybe, if you'd asked me back in May 2020, what about training to be a yoga teacher? Because these specialist courses are delivered either to yoga teachers or someone from a related professional background. So often subject knowledge or their knowledge of teaching is already very good. So I was like, I'm not sure about training to be a yoga teacher. And I picked up some thread on a yoga teacher forum about this back in the summer last year. And it was, there were people very, very fixed in their beliefs that you cannot train successfully to be a yoga teacher online. Well, I've had that belief system shattered as well. So my foundation yoga teacher training course last year, we managed to do the first 3 weekends in person. Lockdown hits in April and we move online. And it was a steep learning curve, but we managed to figure it out between working in groups of Zoom, working one-to-one, Facebook Live even, we took all the available technology and kept our training going. But very conscious that they had signed up to an in-person course and very keen to get back in person as soon as possible, which we absolutely did. But there was one student for health reasons that stayed online right up until the end. And this student changed everything for me in terms of my beliefs. Because when we got to the end of our course in December last year, this student who had been online for 70% of her course, her outcome was not negatively impacted by the fact that she had trained with us online. And I had this direct comparison between her and the others who had been largely in person. And here I am now offering a dedicated online yoga teacher training course, which I am immensely proud of, starting in April, if you would like to join me, by the way. So let's be honest, of course, there are some drawbacks about training online. If you are looking to do lots of physical adjustment or partner work, that's going to be really hard to communicate online. And of course, there are some schools of yoga that rely quite heavily on teacher adjustment, and those styles of yoga, they're going to be better in person. Personality comes into it. Some of us just can't do the technology, can't cope online, need to be in a room with a group of people. And if that's you, honor that. It's okay. We're not going to be online forever, I promise you. And, I did an online training course, a yin yoga training course a couple of weeks ago in my bedroom. Fantastic course. And the two things I think that were a drawback for me were at lunchtime, I didn't wander off and have a coffee and a quiet lunch to digest all the information. I had to go downstairs and make lunch for my children. But also, it was a 5-day intensive course. And although I got to meet everyone on the course, those conversations maybe that I would have had we been in person didn't happen. And, that was sad for me in one way, but that's COVID, isn't it? It has got in the way of many of our human interactions. Those two negatives don't outweigh the positives for me. I wouldn't have done that training course had it not been online. I could not have afforded the time to go to London to train with this teacher. The fact that it was online and I was able to do it from home meant I could do that training course. And I think this is where we have to accept why online training is so useful. Accessibility. And yoga should be accessible, and training to be a yoga teacher can be immensely expensive, can be immensely time consuming, and not all of us can afford the time, let alone the money. And training online allows yoga to be more accessible, and that can only be a good thing. Training online gives us flexibility. Sometimes it's really hard to always be available at this specific time. So if it's been recorded, you can do catch-ups. Training online allows us to have these training videos that we can revisit 2 years down the line because we want to check something. It provides a wonderful resource. So it's not for everyone, but I just want us all to just wonder about our belief systems for a moment. My belief systems in terms of whether yoga training could be successful online were stopping me from seeing what was possible, from stopping me from offering my trainings out to a wider group of people. I mean, I have had people from France, from Spain, 2 people from Saudi Arabia take my pre and postnatal yoga teacher training course. If I was only running that in my studio in Cornwall, that just never would have happened. You know, running courses online opens up the whole of the world to your offering. And for those of you that are looking to train online, you know, if you find the right trainer and the right course, it doesn't matter whether it's in person or online. What matters is the outcome. What matters is at the end of that course, are you ready to teach? So I think maybe today's message is not necessarily about whether in-person training is better than online or online is better than in-person. It doesn't work like that, by the way. There's no right or wrong. There's no one set way to train to be a yoga teacher. There's no one person who's got it completely nailed and everyone should train with that person. It is unique to the individual. But actually today's message is perhaps more about our belief systems, and we all have them, and it's good to have them. It's good to be passionate about things. It's good to have opinions, but it's also good to just wonder if sometimes maybe I am wrong, or maybe that story, that belief system, you know, I'm rubbish. Here's my story. I'm rubbish at technology. There is just no way I could run an online course. How wrong was I? But that story, that belief system was getting in the way of me creating something really special. So maybe think, if you don't really care whether the yoga teacher training is online or in person, maybe think about a belief system that you may hold very, very dearly, and ask yourself, am I right? What would happen if I just try something different, do something different? And, you know, next time perhaps you see a thread on a Facebook forum about whether yoga teacher training can be done online, maybe just don't comment. Or maybe just, you know, allow people to have their opinions, but don't assume just because someone's trained a particular way with a particular teacher with a particular set amount of hours that somehow their training isn't good enough. You know, I know many fabulous yoga teachers who have started out doing a 3-week intensive course in somewhere hot. You know, I know many fabulous yoga teachers who trained for 500 hours over 3 years. I know many yoga teachers who have taken that intensive model and don't feel ready to teach, or many yoga teachers that have taken that longer, more drawn out model and still don't feel confident to teach. You know, the outcome is what matters. How we get into the training will be unique to us. So let's celebrate all the ways that people can train to be a yoga teacher. And I, for one, am embracing online training, COVID or not.